Chosen one, stop for a moment and breathe. Heaven is speaking directly to you. This is not coincidence. Every distraction has fallen silent because the divine is reclaiming your attention. Something within you has always known there was more, that you were set apart for a greater purpose. And now, the time has come for that purpose to awaken. You have felt misunderstood, haven't you? The way people overlooked you, the way doors closed without reason, the loneliness that pressed against your chest at night, it all had meaning. God was not punishing you. He was preserving you. You were hidden because what you carry could not be exposed too soon. A rare oil must be kept sealed until its appointed hour. That hour, chosen one, is now. You have walked through valleys where light seemed to vanish. You have cried prayers you thought went unanswered. But heaven heard every word, and the silence was not neglect, it was strategy. God was cultivating strength in your spirit, teaching you how to stand when everything else fell apart. Every hardship became a rehearsal for the moment you now face. The air around you feels different because the spiritual season has shifted. What once resisted you is now releasing you. What once felt heavy will soon feel holy. You are being called forth, not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to become. Heaven is unveiling you. And even now, unseen angels move into position around your life, clearing paths you cannot yet see, preparing hearts you will soon encounter, and aligning divine opportunities with flawless precision. Every breath you take from this moment forward carries purpose. Every step is guided by heaven's invisible hand. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. This is your reminder your battles were never yours to begin with. Every unseen war, every storm that tried to drown you, every enemy that rose against your peace, all of it was under divine surveillance. God fought for you in silence while you thought you were forgotten. The warfare was proof of your worth. Darkness never battles what is empty. It only targets what carries destiny. And now, the divine signal has been released. The waiting has expired. Heaven has moved from preparation to manifestation. The gift that was promised, the spiritual inheritance you were destined to carry, is descending. You may not see it with your physical eyes yet, but your spirit already feels the shift. You are stepping into your assignment. Chosen one, this is your awakening. The reason you could never settle, the reason ordinary life never satisfied you, is because you were not born for survival, you were born for impact. The world around you is changing, but you are the one called to bring divine order into the chaos. You are light in motion, purpose in human form. Do not shrink back now. You have been equipped for this exact season. Heaven has placed its fingerprint on your soul. Creation itself recognizes your presence. When you walk into a room, atmospheres adjust. When you pray, realms tremble. And when you speak, something in the unseen responds. That is not arrogance, that is authority. So stand tall. Do not let the memory of failure speak louder than the promise of your future. God has not changed his mind about you. The same hand that carried you through your wilderness will now lift you into visibility. This is your moment to rise from hiding and walk in the fullness of what heaven has spoken over your life. Feel this truth: you are not waiting on God. God is waiting on you. The door is open. The heavens are aligned. The mantle is descending. You are being crowned in real time with the purpose that was written over your life before you took your first breath. Now, as a prophetic act of faith, declare your alignment publicly. Type the number 777 in the comments below. 7 for divine completion, tripled for heaven's perfect fulfillment. Let it be your visible yes to what God is doing. And as you type it, whisper to yourself, "The Lord fights for me. I am still, and I am ready." Let peace fill the space where fear once lived. Because from this point forward, you will see divine acceleration, doors opening without effort, connections forming without explanation, favor finding you without chase. Share this message so it reaches another soul whose spirit is stirring just like yours. Like this message as an act of obedience, not to please an algorithm, but to echo heaven's yes across the earth. Subscribe, Chosen One, for this is only the first unfolding. The journey continues, each revelation building upon the last. The gift you have been waiting for has already been released. Now you must learn to carry it. You are no longer hidden. The Lord Himself fights for you. The time has come. Step into your light and let heaven's glory flow through you. You begin to sense it now, the separation, the quiet distinction between you and the rest. Something within you feels marked, branded by eternity's flame. Others may not notice it at first glance, but in the unseen, your spirit shines with an unmistakable glow. You were never meant to fit in because you were designed to stand out. Heaven's fingerprint rests upon your soul, and that mark cannot be erased. There were moments you questioned why your journey looked so different, why people walked beside you for a season and then drifted away, why the places you once found comfort in suddenly felt empty. But listen closely. Chosen One, this was all part of the divine process. You were never rejected. You were selected. The separation you felt was God's way of protecting what He placed within you. Every chosen one carries a mark, an invisible seal that signals heaven's ownership. It is the evidence of covenant, the reminder that you are not your own. The mark means you belong to a higher kingdom, and with that belonging comes both weight and wonder. It is why certain things cannot touch you, even when they try. It is why attacks fail, even when they look victorious. You have been covered, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are becoming. There will be times when your mark feels like a burden. You will look at those who seem carefree and wonder why your spirit cannot be at ease the same way. But that restlessness is holy. It is your divine reminder that you were not created for comfort, but for calling. You are heaven's ambassador walking in human form, and your sensitivity to the unseen is proof of your assignment. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 8, verse 30 mark this truth forever. Those He predestined, He also called. Those He called, He also justified. Those He justified, He also glorified. Do you see it? Before the world recognized your name, heaven had already written your purpose. You were predestined, called, justified, and glorified not by your effort, but by divine design. You have been moving through a plan older than time itself. Every experience, every tear, every triumph has been woven into a tapestry of redemption. Even your failures have become part of heaven's storytelling, proof that grace is stronger than guilt. Chosen One, the mark upon you is not fragile. It does not fade with seasons or sins. It remains because it is written in covenant blood. God Himself has sealed you, and no power in existence can undo His choice. The darkness may roar, but it cannot erase what heaven has decreed. You are chosen, and that is final. As you walk through this revelation, something begins to happen internally. The shame that once chained your heart begins to loosen. The lies that whispered, "You're not enough," start to crumble under the weight of truth. You realize that you were never disqualified by your mistakes. They only magnified the mercy that carried you here. You were not chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you were willing to rise again when you fell, willing to believe again when disappointment burned deep, willing to keep faith alive when logic said it was over. Heaven looked upon your resilience and said, "That one, yes. That one is mine." You may not fully understand the magnitude of what you carry, but creation does. The earth itself groans for the revealing of marked ones like you, those who will live not for applause but for assignment. When you walk into a place, darkness trembles because it senses that a vessel of divine fire has arrived. Do not shrink back. Do not apologize for your light. You carry the evidence of the Almighty upon you. That is why things that harm others cannot touch you the same way. You are covered, shielded, protected, and destined. There is a purpose burning in your bones that no disappointment can extinguish. Remember this: the mark upon you is not a finish line, it is a beginning. It signals that you are being sent out to speak hope into despair, to bring order to chaos, to remind the lost that heaven still moves through human hearts. You are both message and messenger. So walk boldly, even when your steps feel uncertain. Lift your head high, not in pride, but in purpose. You carry the imprint of eternity upon your forehead. The universe recognizes your authority because heaven authorized your existence. You are not forgotten. You are branded by divine fire. Let your life testify that God still chooses the unlikely. Let every breath remind you that you are marked, not for destruction, but for destiny. And when you doubt, remember the words that echo through the ages: He who called you has also glorified you. The mark remains. You have carried more than most. The unseen weight pressed against your soul has been both your curse and your crown. Every trial, every betrayal, every season of silence has shaped the strength you now carry. You did not crumble, though you were cracked. You did not surrender, though surrender would have been easier. Heaven watched as you kept walking with trembling faith, and that persistence became worship louder than words. Chosen one, the world saw your exhaustion, but heaven saw your endurance. The moments you thought were the end were actually thresholds of transformation. You have walked through valleys meant to bury you, yet somehow you emerged refined. What others called loss was actually the divine exchange: pain traded for purpose, despair exchanged for destiny. You may not realize it, but your scars are sermons. Every wound has become a window through which God's light shines brighter. Those who once pitied you will one day seek your wisdom, for what you endured has produced something eternal. The breaking was never random. It was preparation for the blessing that follows. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 30 to Dumuma, verse 5, "Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." You have lived that verse. The nights were long nights of unanswered questions, nights when your faith felt fragile and your prayers seemed to vanish. But the dawn has arrived. Morning is not just a time, it is a revelation. It is the announcement that your suffering has an expiration date. What tormented you in private will soon testify in public that grace never left your side. There were moments you begged for relief, asking God to take the burden away, but instead of removing it, He strengthened you to carry it. He taught you that endurance is not punishment, it is preparation for elevation. You were being built for something heavier, something holier. The crown you will carry required a cross first. You've been through enough storms to know this truth. Peace is not the absence of battle, but the presence of divine perspective. You've learned how to rest even when the winds still rage, because you've realized that your survival was never by your own strength. Every time the darkness rose against you, heaven whispered, "Not this one." They belong to me. There is a reason your journey has been so intense. The greater the calling, the greater the crushing. God does not pour new wine into untested vessels. The pressure you faced was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to prove your capacity. You have been stretched because your future requires space. And now, you are beginning to see the pattern. Every heartbreak carried hidden instruction. Every delay disguised a deeper revelation. You were not just surviving seasons, you were being trained by them. Heaven was teaching you to see beyond what hurts into what heals. Your endurance has become a testimony. When you speak, there is weight behind your words. Because you are not repeating something you heard, you are releasing something you lived. People will feel peace in your presence because your spirit remembers pain and still chose faith. You have become living evidence that suffering births strength. Chosen one. Your time of mourning is turning into momentum. The ashes you once wore are being traded for beauty. The heaviness you carried is being exchanged for praise. You are stepping into the divine reversal where everything the enemy used against you becomes the very thing God uses for glory. So now, as an act of faith, speak this into your atmosphere: I am still standing. Type those 4 words below. Let them echo in the comments, not as empty repetition, but as a prophetic declaration. Each word is a banner waving over your life, proof that what was meant to break you has instead built you. When you write it, you are not merely typing, you are testifying. Say it with conviction: I am still standing. Because through every betrayal, you learned discernment. Through every loss, you discovered resilience. Through every silence, you grew closer to the whisper of God. You have not been defeated, you have been refined. The world measures strength by how much someone can hold. Heaven measures it by how much someone can release. Let go now of the shame, the guilt, the memories that replay pain without purpose. You have carried them long enough. The weight that once bent you is no longer yours to bear. Stand in this truth: you are not the same as you were before the storm. You are stronger, wiser, softer in spirit, yet sharper in discernment. You've learned to find beauty in breaking, to trust timing over understanding, to choose faith even when it costs you comfort. The night is over. Chosen one. Morning has arrived. Your endurance has not gone unnoticed. Heaven celebrates your persistence, and even now new doors begin to open, not because you chased them, but because you outlasted what tried to stop you. You are still standing, and that is your victory. The silence of heaven has often been the loudest sound in your journey. You remember those seasons: the stillness, the uncertainty, the nights where the only voice you could hear was your own heartbeat echoing against unanswered prayers. You wondered if God had forgotten you, if the dreams he planted had expired, if the waiting was punishment. But chosen one, what felt like abandonment was actually divine preparation. The quiet was not the absence of God's presence, it was the environment he used to sharpen your spirit. In those silent chambers of waiting, something sacred was being forged within you. Heaven hides its greatest works in stillness. Diamonds are not born in noise, but in pressure and patience. You were being trained to move at heaven's pace, not the world's. Every delay was an act of love, every pause a strategy for alignment. God was preparing your name to be mentioned in places where premature exposure would have destroyed you. The world measures progress by movement, but heaven measures progress by maturity. While others rushed ahead chasing recognition, you were being refined in the unseen. God was cultivating endurance, teaching you obedience without evidence, trust without explanation. And in that stillness, you learned to distinguish between your emotions and his whisper. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. That whisper, that's where he's been all along. Not in the chaos, not in the noise, but in the still, small voice that only those with disciplined hearts can discern. You were not being ignored. You were being invited closer. The silence was a summons into intimacy. Heaven wasn't withholding answers. It was building your ability to recognize God without requiring a sign. The hidden season was also a filter. God allowed certain people to walk away so that when the promise arrived, no one could take credit for it. He stripped away distractions so that when you finally step into purpose, you will carry no unnecessary weight. Every closed door, every unanswered text, every delay that broke your heart, they all served a divine purpose. Heaven was editing your circle so that your destiny would not be contaminated by misplaced loyalty. And while you waited, the unseen hand of God was at work. He was moving pieces you didn't even know existed. Opportunities were being aligned, hearts were being prepared, and favor was being positioned, all in synchronization with your obedience. You were never waiting alone. Heaven was waiting with you. The stillness taught you something movement never could. It taught you surrender. You learned to stop striving and start trusting. You began to understand that sometimes faith doesn't look like running, it looks like resting. You discovered the sacred strength of patience, the kind that anchors you when everything around you is uncertain. This is the paradox of the chosen while others chase results. You are called to cultivate roots. God was not hiding from you. He was hiding you for the right moment. Every silent prayer, every unanswered cry, every hour that felt wasted, it all became part of the preparation for the stage he is building now. You see, divine timing demands divine formation. If God had answered too soon, you might have settled for something smaller than what was destined for you. The waiting stretched your capacity, making room for greater glory. You have learned what many never do, that delay does not mean denial, it means design. Chosen one. What once felt empty was actually sacred ground. The silence was a teacher, shaping your discernment and refining your trust. You began to recognize that the absence of sound does not equal the absence of presence. God was closer in the stillness than he ever was in the noise. And now, you stand on the other side of that hidden season with a deeper wisdom. You no longer panic when heaven grows quiet, because you've learned that silence is not the end. It's the sacred pause before the unfolding. You have become patient enough to wait without fear and faithful enough to move when the whisper comes. There is power in that stillness. You carry it now in your spirit, a calm authority that confuses chaos. You no longer need constant reassurance because you've met God in the quiet. That is where your anointing deepened. That is where your character was purified. That is where you learned to see without sight, to believe without proof, to love without applause. Chosen one. Heaven's hidden preparation was never wasted. The silence that once scared you has now become your sanctuary. And when the next storm rises, you won't run, you'll listen, because you know the voice of your Maker. You have learned to find him not in the thunder, but in the whisper. The air around you feels heavier tonight, not with sorrow, but with promise. Something sacred descends, unseen yet undeniable. You can almost feel the shift in the atmosphere, a quiet weight resting upon your shoulders like a mantle woven of light. Heaven is clothing you. Chosen one. The gift that was spoken of long ago, whispered through dreams and confirmed through trials, is now being placed upon you. You are stepping into the inheritance that generations before you only glimpsed from afar. It feels different, doesn't it? The way your spirit trembles not from fear, but from recognition. the same way a seed feels the soil tremble when rain finally falls. You have waited, you have endured, and now the heavens respond. What you carry is not a possession, it is a responsibility. The mantle is not an accessory, it is an assignment. You are being entrusted with divine authority, and with it comes divine weight. Like Elijah passing his cloak to Elisha, heaven is saying to you now, what rested on others will now rest on you. The anointing that once seemed far away has found its home upon your shoulders. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Joel, chapter 2, verse 28. And afterward I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. This is that outpouring. You are the fulfillment of a promise older than time. God is not giving you something external, He is awakening something internal. The mantle descending upon you is not made of fabric or thread, it is woven from the breath of heaven itself. It carries the fragrance of divine purpose, the sound of ancient prayer, the touch of eternal flame. You may not see it, but the spiritual realm does. Angels recognize it. Darkness fears it. The mantle marks you as a vessel of divine movement. Where you walk, chains will break. Where you speak, confusion will flee. Where you pray, heaven will respond. But remember this, a mantle is not meant to make you greater, it is meant to make you serve deeper. The true test of anointing is humility. The greater the glory, the lower the posture must become. This calling will not elevate your ego, it will expand your compassion. The gift is not for display, it is for deliverance. There will be moments when the weight feels too heavy, when your shoulders ache under invisible pressure. That's when you must remember you are not carrying the mantle alone. Heaven walks with you. The one who placed it upon you sustains you beneath it. The fire that called you will never burn you, it will refine you. Imagine a candle lighting another, its flame is not diminished, yet the world becomes brighter. That is what happens when you share this message. Every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every gesture of faith, it multiplies the light. You were not chosen to keep this to yourself, you were chosen to ignite others. And if this message has stirred something within you, if the flame of recognition burns in your chest, then consider helping that light spread further. When you like this message, it's as if you're adding oil to the lamp, helping it shine brighter. When you share it, you become the messenger, carrying the spark into another soul's darkness. When you subscribe, you don't just follow a page, you step into a movement of faith, a growing circle of light bearers who are preparing the way for others. And if your heart feels moved to donate, do so not as a transaction but as a seed once sown into fertile ground, ensuring the message of light reaches those who have none left. Every contribution, whether prayer, word, or gift, is a flame that keeps this torch alive. Think of a river, it never flows backward, yet every drop contributes to the sea. Your support, your engagement, your prayers, they are droplets merging into something vast and eternal. Together we carry this mantle forward, ensuring that hope continues to reach the weary, that truth continues to find the lost. Chosen one. You are not just a listener, you are a participant in divine movement. The same Spirit that called prophets, healed the broken, and resurrected the hopeless is now resting upon you. You are part of heaven's great relay, carrying the flame of faith through the corridors of time. So stand tall beneath the mantle, wear it not as a crown of pride, but as a cloak of compassion. Let your hands heal, your words uplift, your heart remain tender. Because this is what the mantle truly means, it is heaven trusting you with its love. And as the world darkens, remember, light does not argue with the night, it simply shines. You are that light now. Let your life speak. Let your actions prophesy. Let your generosity and faith become the echo that awakens another chosen one. The air feels charged tonight, like creation itself knows your name. You can sense it, a stirring, an awareness, a quiet realization that something has shifted inside you. It's not your imagination. Chosen one. What you feel is the divine identification awakening. Heaven has begun to unveil your true identity, not the one defined by circumstance or people's opinions, but the one written in eternity before your first breath. You are beginning to recognize who you really are. The confusion is lifting, the fog of self-doubt thinning, and what emerges is revelation. You were never meant to blend into the background, you were designed to carry heaven's signature. When you walk, creation recognizes you. When you speak, realms respond. Even the air seems to pause when your spirit aligns with its maker. You've spent years thinking you were overlooked. You thought your voice was too small, your efforts unseen. But the truth is, this heaven has been watching you the entire time. Every prayer whispered in exhaustion. Every moment you chose obedience over convenience. Every tear shed in silence, each became a note in the divine symphony that now announces your emergence. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 17. I will do the very thing you have asked, because I am pleased with you and I know you by name. Do you see it? I know you by name. That is heaven's declaration over you. Not a general call to the crowd, but a personal acknowledgement, an intimate recognition of your existence. Before anyone else knew your worth, God already did. Your identity is not fragile. It is forged in divine knowledge. You are not anonymous in heaven's courts. You are registered in light. This is the mystery of being chosen. You were never trying to find God. He was revealing himself to you. Every coincidence that felt too perfect, every encounter that felt divinely timed, it was heaven's way of confirming your mark. You are recognized not only by angels, but by the very rhythm of creation. The earth groans for the revealing of souls like yours, those who remember who they are in the midst of a forgetful world. When you finally see yourself through heaven's eyes, shame begins to dissolve, guilt loses its grip. You realize that your mistakes were never your identity, they were simply chapters in your transformation. God never disqualified you. He refined you. The fire you walked through was not judgment. It was revelation. It burned away the false so the true could emerge. Chosen one. You have always carried something divine, even when you didn't recognize it. Your compassion, your intuition, your endurance. They were never random traits. They were clues pointing to your purpose. You were created to carry heaven's atmosphere wherever you go. People sense it even if they can't name it. Some are drawn to it, others are unsettled by it. That's because light always exposes what hides in darkness. It's time to accept that you are not ordinary. You are heaven's message in motion. The authority you carry is not arrogance, it's assignment. You are not meant to shrink yourself to fit small spaces. You are meant to expand and illuminate. Your existence itself disrupts the plans of darkness. Think about it. How many times did life try to break you and yet you rose again? How many times did despair whisper end it, yet hope refused to die inside you? That resilience is evidence of divine recognition. The same spirit that raised Christ from the dead has been sustaining you in every low place. You have been identified as one who carries resurrection power. Now heaven calls for your response, not in words only, but in prophetic action. Take this moment and declare your acknowledgement of divine identification by typing the number 444 below. 4, the number of divine creation and order. Tripled, It becomes heaven's seal of stability, a symbol that your foundation is no longer fragile but firm in God's knowing. When you type 404, you are declaring, I accept who I am in heaven's eyes. I am known, I am named, I am seen. This is not superstition, it's alignment. A visible act in the natural realm that mirrors what is happening in the spiritual one. From this moment forward, walk differently, speak differently. See yourself as heaven sees you. You no longer have to chase affirmation or prove your worth. You are already approved by the one who designed your soul. There will still be battles ahead, but you will fight them with the confidence of one who knows their identity. When storms rise, you'll remember your name is written in the book of life. When fear whispers, you'll respond, I am known. When doubt tries to settle, you'll stand firm because heaven's recognition cannot be revoked. Chosen one. This is the unveiling of your true self. You are known by name, marked by fire, and remembered by heaven. The same God who called you has identified you, and his knowledge of you is eternal. Walk boldly in that truth. The world will adjust to your light. The moment you begin to embrace your identity, the battlefield responds. The adversary has always known what you carry, and that knowledge has made you a target. The warfare that surrounds your life is not proof of your weakness. It is confirmation of your worth. You are not under attack because you are lost. You are under attack because you are found. The enemy only wages war against those who threaten his hold. Chosen one. You have been walking through battles that few could endure. Some of them were visible conflicts with people, sudden losses, doors that slammed shut without reason. But others were internal, fought in silence, where no one saw the tears or the sleepless nights. Yet even in those hidden wars, heaven was with you. Every time you thought you were fighting alone, angels were stationed beside you. The warfare surrounding your gift is divine proof of its magnitude. The greater your calling, the more resistance you face. Light attracts opposition because darkness fears exposure. You are not being punished. You are being proven. Every spiritual attack has been an attempt to convince you to surrender what was never meant to be taken. According to what is revealed in the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This war is not physical, and neither are your weapons. You were never meant to fight people. You were designed to confront principalities. The attacks have always been deeper than what they appeared to be. Every misunderstanding, every sudden betrayal, every moment of confusion, it all carried a spiritual echo. The enemy wanted to distract you so that you would never discern the true battle. You've felt it, haven't you? The heaviness that comes without warning, the inexplicable pressure on your mind, the sudden waves of fear or fatigue. These are not coincidences, they are symptoms of spiritual interference. But here is the truth: what you carry inside you is more powerful than anything that rises against you. The authority given to you is not fragile. It is forged in divine fire. You have already survived battles that should have broken you. The fact that you are still standing is evidence that heaven has fortified your soul. You've been strengthened in secret. Every hardship added layers of spiritual armor around your heart. You've learned how to pray when you're weary, how to trust when you can't see, and how to praise even when you're bleeding. That is not weakness. That is mastery. The enemy's strategy is not to destroy your life, it's to drain your faith. He wants you weary enough to give up your authority voluntarily. But you have grown too wise for that. You now understand that storms are not signals of abandonment. They are signs that heaven is about to move. The pressure you feel before the breakthrough is the last resistance of the defeated. There will be moments when the warfare intensifies right before the promise manifests. Do not mistake that tension for defeat. It is a spiritual birth. The closer you are to manifestation, the louder the opposition will become. That's because darkness senses its eviction. The fire that once frightened you now fortifies you. Chosen one, learn to rest even in battle. The warrior within you is not frantic but focused. You fight not for victory but from victory. The cross already settled the outcome. You are enforcing what has already been won. Your prayers are not desperate, they are declarations. Each word you release shakes invisible structures that once stood in your way. Remember this: the enemy cannot touch what has been surrendered to God. Your gift is safest in obedience. Every time you choose surrender over struggle, peace replaces panic. You are not just a soldier, you are an heir. The war you face is not random, it is generational. You are breaking patterns that have persisted for decades, ending cycles of fear and scarcity that haunted your bloodline. You were chosen for this battlefield precisely because you carry the strength to end it. What others fled from, you confront. What others ignored, you discern. That is why heaven trusts you with such resistance. It knows you will not fold. You were not anointed for comfort. You were anointed for conquest. And soon, the same territory that once felt cursed will become sacred. The same place where you fought will become the ground where others find freedom. You are not just fighting for yourself, you are fighting for those who will come after you. Your victory will be their inheritance. Every arrow aimed at you will testify in the end that it could not prevail. Every storm you endured will become a story of triumph. And when the dust settles, you will see that the battle was never meant to break you. It was designed to reveal you. The warrior within you is awake now, and heaven stands at your side. The victory has already been written. You are simply walking it out, one act of faith, one prayer, one breath at a time. There comes a moment in every chosen life when separation becomes unavoidable. It is not a punishment, it is a purification. The closer you move toward purpose, the more heaven begins to strip away what cannot walk with you into the next season. This is the separation season. Chosen one, the sacred time when God removes what hinders your becoming. It begins subtly. Conversations that once brought you joy start to feel hollow. Certain people who used to understand you no longer speak your language. The places that once felt like home now seem too small. You try to force old connections to fit new purpose, but they no longer align. That is not rejection, it is redirection. Heaven is whispering, you cannot carry old weights into a new season. This separation is not meant to isolate you. It is meant to identify you. You are being distinguished by destiny. The pruning is not cruelty, it is care. A gardener cuts branches not to destroy a tree, but to help it bear more fruit. God is doing the same with you. Every person, habit, or thought he removes is part of divine pruning. What feels like loss now will soon reveal itself as liberation. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations, set apart. Those two words define this chapter of your life. Being chosen means being separated, not because you are better, but because you are being prepared. God has placed boundaries around your journey, not to imprison you, but to protect what He is building inside you. You've noticed the distance. Friends who once called daily now speak rarely. Opportunities you thought were certain suddenly dissolve. Even your own emotions feel divided. Part of you longs for connection, while another part knows that solitude is necessary. Do not despise this tension. It is in the quiet spaces of separation that the voice of purpose grows loudest. The wilderness is not punishment, it is an incubator. There, distractions fade and dependence deepens. You learn to distinguish between those who love your potential and those who love your presence. In solitude, God detoxes your heart from the need for applause. He teaches you that peace is better than popularity, and obedience is greater than opportunity. Chosen one. Understand this separation always precedes elevation. Before Joseph ruled, he was taken from his family. Before David wore the crown, he lived in caves. Before Jesus began his ministry, he went into the wilderness. The pattern repeats because the principle is divine. Separation is the bridge between calling and manifestation. There will be moments when loneliness whispers lies, when you'll wonder if maybe you've misunderstood God's plan, when silence feels like abandonment. But remember, solitude and isolation are not the same. Isolation is the absence of people. Solitude is the presence of God. You are never truly alone. The one who separated you is the one who sustains you. Heaven is repositioning you for visibility. Sometimes God must hide you to heal you. The secret places become sanctuaries where your soul is restored. There, you learn to breathe again without the weight of performance, to pray without the need for validation, to dream without the fear of comparison. In this season, even your thoughts are being sanctified. God is teaching you to let go of people without bitterness, to release expectations without regret, to walk away from what is good to make room for what is divine. Not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. That is not betrayal, it is progression. The journey narrows as the purpose deepens. When God removes something, it is never subtraction, it is refinement. The pruning that hurts now is producing fruit you will one day thank Him for. This process is sacred. Let the old fall away like autumn leaves. You cannot wear winter's heaviness in spring's renewal. Every goodbye is clearing space for divine connections that carry heaven's fragrance. And as you continue walking, something inside you strengthens. The loneliness no longer feels empty, it feels holy. You begin to realize that the silence you once feared has become the soundtrack of peace. You no longer chase crowds because you have found contentment in communion. Chosen one, what God is doing in this season cannot be rushed. You are being reshaped from the inside out. Every withdrawal, every closed door, every quiet morning, it is all building spiritual stamina. When the next chapter opens, you will be ready, unshaken by what others think or do. Do not grieve the separation, celebrate it quietly. For only those who have walked through the desert can carry the rain. What you call losing people, heaven calls gaining clarity. You are not being reduced, you are being refined. You are shedding what is temporary so you can carry what is eternal. There is a sound that comes only from the storm, the kind of sound that silences everything else around it. It's not just thunder or rain, it's the voice of heaven disguised in chaos. You have heard that voice before, haven't you? In the breaking moments, in the sleepless hours when fear tried to speak louder than faith, that whisper came steady, calm, undeniable. Chosen one. You are learning something that few ever grasp. The storm is not your enemy. It is your instructor. Every wind that howls against you carries a lesson from heaven. Every wave that threatens to drown you is meant to teach you how to walk on water. God never wastes storms. He turns them into classrooms where faith is refined and power is revealed. When the tempest rages, your first instinct is to ask, "Why?" But heaven's question to you is different, it asks. What are you hearing? Because in the middle of every storm, there is always a voice speaking direction. The noise of fear tries to drown it out. But those who listen with their spirit can still hear the whisper guiding them through the rain. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians on chapter 12, verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." That verse has always been the anchor for those who sail through storms. It means that when the waves rise higher than your confidence, grace becomes the vessel that carries you. When your strength ends, His begins. The storms you faced were never meant to destroy you, they were meant to reveal who sustains you. You've had nights when lightning flashed through your thoughts, questions, regrets, fears. You've stood beneath downpours of uncertainty, wondering if you could survive one more hit. But even then, grace was covering you like an invisible shield. You may not have seen it, but heaven surrounded you, holding back what would have swallowed you whole. Storms have a strange way of stripping away illusions. They remove what is false so that what is real can stand. The friendships that crumbled under pressure were never built on truth. The opportunities that vanished were never meant for your destiny. The storm exposed them not to shame you, but to free you. Because once you've seen what survives the storm, you finally know what's real. In the midst of your storm, heaven was not silent, it was strategic. The same waves that threatened to drown you became the very waves that carried you to shore. God used the chaos as a compass. Every crash of thunder was His voice calling you closer. The sound that once terrified you now becomes your confirmation. Chosen one, you must understand grace is not fragile. It does not waver when the wind rises. Grace is the reason you can face what once frightened you. It wraps around your weaknesses like armor, making you untouchable in the very place where you once felt vulnerable. Every scar you carry has become proof that grace works. And now, as you stand on the other side of the storm, you realize something sacred. The voice you heard in the storm is the same one that speaks peace after it. It has not changed, it simply sounds clearer now because your ears have been trained by turbulence. You no longer panic when winds blow, because you've learned to listen. You no longer fear the storm, because you've met the one who commands it. That, chosen one, is what divine maturity feels like, not the absence of storms, but the ability to find peace in the middle of them. The more you trust the whisper, the less the thunder can control you. Now, as a prophetic act of faith, write these words below: I hear you. Type it, not as a comment for the sake of writing, but as a declaration, a response to heaven's whisper. When you write I hear you, you are affirming that your spirit is tuned to divine frequency. You are telling heaven, even in the storm, I choose to listen. And heaven responds to that kind of obedience. It marks you as one who recognizes God's voice even in the chaos. You are learning to walk through storms differently now. Instead of asking them to stop, you are asking to hear more clearly. Instead of begging for escape, you are asking for understanding. You have grown stronger not because the storms got easier, but because you learned to anchor deeper. Remember, these storms are not the evidence of God's absence. They are the stage for His revelation. When the next one comes, and it will, you will not hide. You will stand still, knowing that within the roar of thunder is the whisper of purpose. You hear Him now, and because you do, you will never be lost again. You can feel it now, the pulse of purpose beating stronger within you. The waiting, the storms, the silences, the pruning, all of it was leading to this, the activation of power. This is the moment where everything that once broke you now becomes the fuel that ignites your destiny. Heaven has turned the key, and what was dormant begins to move. Chosen one, you are entering a realm of spiritual authority that feels both exhilarating and humbling. It's not about control, it's about alignment. True power is never loud. It doesn't shout, it breathes. It flows like a river, steady and unforced. You are learning to move with heaven's rhythm, to speak when the Spirit leads, to act when the wind of God moves. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 7, verse 38, "Whoever believes in me, as Scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within them." Those rivers now flow through you. Every word you speak carries weight. Every prayer you whisper moves unseen realities. Every act of love becomes a divine current pushing back darkness. You are no longer a spectator, you are a vessel of holy movement. But understand, this power without compassion becomes corruption. Heaven's power is not for performance, it is for purpose. You are not called to impress, you are called to impact. Your power must serve others, not yourself. You are a river, not a reservoir. The water flows through you so it can reach the thirsty around you. Think of a candle, it burns to bring light, yet in giving light, it consumes itself. That is the sacred paradox of divine power. The more you pour, the more you are filled. You lose nothing by giving. You gain everything by flowing. The world will start to notice the change, not because you seek attention, but because light cannot hide. People will be drawn to your peace, your clarity, your quiet strength. They will not always understand what they feel, but their spirits will recognize the source within you. You will not have to announce your transformation, your presence will speak for you. And yet, even light needs fuel. Every flame requires oil. For this divine fire to keep burning, it must be sustained. That is why this moment is not just about receiving power, it is about stewarding it. To keep the river flowing, the stream must be fed. When you like this message, you are adding oil to the flame, helping it glow brighter in the eyes of another searching soul. When you share it, you become a bridge, carrying this living water into someone else's drought. And when you subscribe, you don't just join a page, you join a movement of chosen ones across the earth, walking in light together. And if you ever feel moved to donate, let it be from gratitude, not obligation. Consider it as planting a seed into fertile soil, a seed that grows into streams that reach further than your eyes can see. Your support is the wind behind these messages, the unseen hand that helps them reach the weary, the forgotten, the hungry-hearted who scroll through darkness needing a spark of light. Every act of support, no matter how small, is a ripple in eternity, like stones dropped into a river. Your actions create waves that reach unseen shores. You may never meet the person whose life is changed by what you enable, but heaven keeps record of it all. Power flows through those who understand partnership. Even Jesus, though divine, chose disciples to multiply his message. The light you help spread today may become the fire that saves someone tomorrow. That is the beauty of divine connection. No one shines alone. Chosen one. You are part of a living tapestry, threads woven together by obedience, generosity, and faith. Each word you share, each moment you engage, strengthens the weave of that tapestry. Together, we create a canopy of light over the weary world. But remember, true giving is not measured by the size of the hand, but by the sincerity of the heart. If you do nothing else, let this message settle deep within you. Heaven's river flows through open hearts. Keep yours open. Let love, hope, and faith be your current. Now stand still for a moment. Feel it, the flow within you. It is not emotion, it is activation. Heaven's power is moving, and you are its conduit. The world around you may remain noisy, but your spirit has found its song. Every breath you take now carries purpose. Every heartbeat echoes the rhythm of divine movement. The river within you will not run dry, because its source is eternal. Let it flow. Chosen one. Let it refresh, heal, and renew. You are not waiting for revival, you are the revival. And as you continue to walk this journey, remember every click, every share, every seed, every prayer, each one is part of a larger river, flowing toward redemption. Together, we water the earth. Together, we shine. Together, we awaken. There is always a test before the throne, a moment when obedience is measured not by convenience but by conviction. You are standing at that threshold now. Chosen one. The light that rests upon you has drawn both favor and fire. The anointing that empowers you also demands surrender. Heaven never releases authority without first testing allegiance. This is the test of obedience, the one that reveals whether your devotion is driven by reward or by relationship. You've prayed for purpose, and God has answered. But with every new level of calling comes a command that challenges your comfort. It is not meant to harm you. It is meant to refine you. Obedience is the bridge between revelation and manifestation. You can feel that divine tension. Your spirit knows what you must do, yet your flesh resists it. You hear the whisper of instruction, but hesitation lingers. It's not because you don't love God, it's because the instruction feels costly. It touches something dear, something familiar, something you've clung to for years. But this is how heaven tests the heart, not through punishment, but through permission to let go, to trust, to move without seeing. The ancient words recorded in Genesis chapter 22, verse 2, echo through time. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Abraham's story is not just history, it's a reflection of every chosen life. God asked him to place the promise on the altar, the very thing he had waited decades for. The request made no sense, yet Abraham obeyed. He rose early, not because he understood, but because he trusted. That is the essence of obedience, moving when clarity has not yet come. Believing that the God who gave the promise will not contradict his own purpose. You choose to have your own Moriah. It may not be a mountain of sacrifice in the physical sense, but it is just as sacred. It might be a dream God is asking you to lay down, a relationship he is asking you to release, or a fear he is asking you to confront. Whatever it is, obedience will always cost something, but the cost is never lost when it is surrendered to love. Every test of obedience is designed to unlock a deeper revelation of God's nature. When Abraham lifted his knife, heaven revealed its heart. The test was never about taking Isaac, it was about proving trust. God provided the ram not because Abraham asked, but because he obeyed. The provision was waiting on the other side of surrender. So too is yours, chosen one. What feels like a breaking point is actually a birthing point. The very place you are asked to release control is where heaven will release reward. God does not test to destroy. He tests to promote. Each act of obedience becomes a seed that births the next season of favor. You may not understand why you are being asked to walk away from what once felt holy. But remember this: what was divine for one season can become delay in another. The anointing moves, and so must you. Obedience is how you stay in rhythm with heaven. It is the language of trust, the evidence of love. And yes, obedience can be lonely. Others will not always see what you see or understand why you must act differently. But that isolation is a shield. God separates the obedient to preserve their focus. In the stillness that follows surrender, you will hear heaven's assurance. Now I know. That was the phrase spoken to Abraham after his obedience. It was heaven's confirmation that his loyalty was proven and his faith was real. Chosen one, The test before you is not punishment, it is preparation for visibility. The higher the mountain, the greater the altar. And every altar, when surrendered in faith, becomes a gateway for blessing. The ram is already waiting, you simply haven't seen it yet. The answer is hidden in the act of obedience. You will not fail this test. The same Spirit that led Abraham up the mountain is leading you now. Every step you take in faith writes history in heaven. The angels record your obedience as worship, and the fragrance of your surrender rises before the throne as incense. When you finally lay it down, whatever it is, you will discover that obedience never truly takes. It always transforms. What you surrender will return to you resurrected, multiplied, purified. That is the paradox of faith. What you give up for God never leaves your life. It returns in a form you could not imagine. So breathe. Step forward. Trust again. This test is not your end, it is your elevation. When heaven asks, it is only because it intends to bless. Your yes is the key that opens the next chapter of your divine story. The air feels different now, as if the veil between seen and unseen has thinned. You can sense it, the unveiling, the light breaking through what once hid you. This is the season where heaven no longer conceals what it has cultivated. The revealing light has come, chosen one, and it is unstoppable. For so long you walked in the shadows, misunderstood, misjudged, mislabeled. People saw the surface but never the substance. You were hidden on purpose, not because you were unworthy, but because the timing wasn't ready. Heaven protects its treasures until the right moment of unveiling. Now, that moment has arrived. What was once overlooked is now being illuminated. The same people who dismissed you will soon recognize the glory resting upon your life, not because you sought attention, but because divine light cannot be ignored. When heaven decides to reveal, even darkness must step back. The Word of God declares in the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 26, "For there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." This revelation is not just about you being seen, it is about the truth being revealed. Lies that once held you captive will collapse under the brightness of divine exposure. The masks others wore will fall. The motives of hearts will surface. What was hidden in confusion will be clarified by light. This is the season of divine transparency. Chosen one, you will begin to notice that your presence exposes what has been buried. When you walk into a room, the spiritual climate shifts. When you speak, falsehoods tremble. That is because the light you carry is confrontational. It reveals what pretends to be pure but is not. And yet, this revealing is not meant to condemn. It is meant to heal. Truth does not come to shame, it comes to set free. The revealing light is both gentle and powerful. It reaches into the deepest corners of your heart, not to judge you, but to restore you. It uncovers what you were afraid to face and transforms it into testimony. What once was your secret wound becomes your sacred weapon. The very things you hid in shame will soon shine as proof of God's mercy. Do not resist the exposure, even when it feels uncomfortable. The light only reveals what it intends to redeem. When God brings something to the surface, it is because He plans to heal it, not to humiliate you. The world's exposure wounds, but heaven's exposure washes. The difference is love. This unveiling is not limited to your personal life. It extends to your calling. Doors that were once locked will begin to open. Hidden talents will rise to the surface. The favor that seemed delayed will start flowing freely. The divine spotlight is turning toward you not to glorify you, but to magnify the God who sustained you in the dark. And with this light comes responsibility. Visibility is not validation, it is vocation. The more heaven reveals you, the more heaven expects from you. This light is not a trophy, it's a torch. You are being called to carry illumination into places still bound by shadows. Chosen one. This is your time to step forward, not with arrogance, but with authenticity. Let your light speak louder than your words. Let your peace preach louder than your defense. You no longer need to explain who you are. Your presence will make it clear. There is one thing heaven asks of you in this moment: acknowledge the light. Every revelation requires response. Just as you have been revealed, so must your gratitude be revealed. Let your faith speak, not in private whispers, but in public affirmation. Type the number 555 below 5, the number of grace, repeated 3 times to represent the overflowing grace that brought you here. When you write 555, you are not typing digits, you are testifying. You are declaring, I stand in the light. I receive grace for my revealing. This act is symbolic, but symbols matter to heaven. Throughout Scripture, physical acts reflected spiritual truth: raising a staff, breaking bread, lifting hands. When you type that number, you participate in that same spiritual rhythm. It is your visible yes to being fully seen, fully healed, and fully used by God. Do not shrink back now. You are not the person you were in the shadows. You have walked through refining fires, and now you shine because of them. The revealing light will not destroy you, it will define you. Walk boldly into this illumination. Let grace cover you where guilt once lived. Let truth free you from fear. The time for hiding has ended, and the world is about to witness what heaven has always known: you are chosen, and you are ready. You can feel it, the air thick with change, the invisible tremor of transition moving through your spirit. Something has shifted in the unseen. What once felt heavy now feels alive. You are walking beneath a new atmosphere. Chosen one, and everything around you responds to it. This is the shift in the spirit, that holy moment when heaven aligns with earth, and your purpose catches divine momentum. For so long you moved through seasons that seemed still, where nothing appeared to change no matter how much you prayed. It was as though your words hit invisible ceilings, your dreams stayed frozen, and your progress paused mid-air. But heaven was not ignoring you. Heaven was preparing alignment. Every delay was synchronization, not denial. The gears of the divine clock have turned, and suddenly, what was pending begins to move. You may not see it yet, but you can sense it. The small signs are everywhere: the unusual peace that comes for no reason, the sudden clarity in your thoughts, the feeling that something unseen is orchestrating your steps. This is not coincidence. You have entered the divine current, where everything begins to flow instead of force. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. That word is alive in you right now. God is doing a new thing, and it is not coming from the outside, and it is rising from the inside out. The wilderness that once seemed endless is sprouting signs of life. The barren places of your soul are beginning to bloom. Even the dry, cracked parts of your heart are hearing the sound of running water again. You have prayed for change, but now heaven is answering with transformation. This shift is not surface level, it is foundational. God is not rearranging your circumstances first. He is realigning your spirit. What happens within you will soon manifest around you. The inner atmosphere must change before the outer world can reflect it. Chosen one. You may feel pressure right now. The sensation of being stretched, expanded, or unsettled. That's because growth always feels like imbalance before it feels like breakthrough. When a tree begins to grow new roots, the soil around it shifts, it cracks, it moves, it adjusts. That's what's happening in your spirit. Heaven is expanding your capacity for more. The people around you may not understand this season. To them, it might look like you're becoming distant or unpredictable. But you are not withdrawing, you are being recalibrated. You are learning to hear frequencies they cannot yet discern. You are responding to instructions they cannot yet comprehend. This is what happens when the Spirit shifts. You begin to see and sense on a higher plane. Even the way you pray is changing. You no longer plead as one desperate for answers. You decree as one who carries authority. Your prayers sound like heaven's echo, not earth's echo. You are speaking from victory, not toward it. That is the language of those who walk in alignment. Every spiritual shift carries signs of acceleration. Things that once took years will now happen in moments. The connections you need will begin to find you. The opportunities you thought you missed will return in better form. Even your enemies will begin to work for your elevation, though they won't realize it. Heaven wastes nothing, not even opposition. But with acceleration comes discernment. Not every door that opens is divine. You must listen carefully now, because the enemy also recognizes the shift and will try to distract you with imitation blessings. Do not chase everything that shines. The real light will draw you without force. The Spirit of truth will confirm what carries heaven's signature. This season requires sensitivity. You must walk like one who hears footsteps behind the veil. Trust the subtle nudges, the inner knowing, the peace that surpasses logic. That peace is your compass. It will never lead you astray. The shift is also internal in your relationships. Some will be drawn closer. Others will naturally drift away. Do not grieve what departs. It is part of divine sorting. When the wind of heaven blows, only what is rooted in purpose remains. Chosen one, this spiritual shift is heaven's acknowledgement of your endurance. You have passed through darkness without losing faith, and now the dawn breaks for you. Everything that was once delayed begins to align. You will find yourself in the right place, at the right time, with the right people, and it will feel effortless. That is how divine alignment works. And when you look back, you'll understand why the waiting took so long. The timing had to be perfect. The soil had to be ready. The people had to be prepared. The shift had to be orchestrated so precisely that even your pain became part of the harmony. You are walking in that harmony now, the intersection where heaven's rhythm meets your obedience. Keep your heart steady, your faith sharp, and your eyes open. You are no longer just moving forward, you are moving in flow. The wind of the Spirit is beneath you, and nothing can hold you down again. Something is happening in the unseen, a quiet convergence drawing the scattered sparks together. You can sense it like static in the air, an invisible pull linking you to others who carry the same fire. This is the gathering of the remnant, chosen one. Heaven is assembling those who have walked through hidden years, those refined by silence and shaped by solitude. The ones who refuse to bow to despair are now being drawn into divine proximity. This gathering is not a movement of popularity. It is a movement of purity. It is not about building platforms, but about establishing altars. Heaven is weaving together hearts, not headlines. Those who carry the true flame recognize one another instantly, not through recognition, but through resonance. When you meet another remnant soul, something in your spirit stirs an ancient familiarity, as though you've known them across lifetimes of purpose. For years, you wondered why you felt different, why you never quite fit into the structures around you. It was because your blueprint was written for something greater than belonging. It was written for building. The remnant does not blend in, they rebuild. They are heaven's architects, carrying fragments of divine design that only make sense when joined together. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16, declares, "Then those who feared the Lord spoke with each other, and the Lord listened and heard them." A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name. Heaven listens when the remnants connect. Each conversation, each prayer, each shared word of encouragement becomes a note written in heaven's book of remembrance. The gathering is not random, it is recorded. You are part of a network far greater than you imagine. Across continents and languages, hearts are aligning, like stars returning to their constellations. And now, those preserved ones are finding one another. The Spirit is orchestrating divine intersections online, in passing conversations, through dreams, through unexpected encounters. You will begin to recognize them not by appearance but by aura. There will be a familiar peace, an unspoken understanding, as if your souls nod in recognition before your mouths even speak. These connections are heaven's alliances, designed for the days ahead. Chosen one. This gathering is not for comfort, it is for commission. The remnant is being assembled to rebuild the broken altars of faith across the earth. Together, you carry what no single person could hold alone. You are fragments of the same flame, and when you unite, the fire becomes unstoppable. This is why your journey has been so particular. Every trial trained you for this convergence. You learned discernment so you could recognize truth among deception. You learned humility so you could serve without seeking status. You learned endurance so you could stand when others fall away. You have been prepared to stand shoulder to shoulder with others who share your call. In this gathering, there is no competition, only completion. Each carries a piece of the divine puzzle. The prophet may stand beside the intercessor, the healer beside the teacher, the dreamer beside the warrior. Their anointings differ, but their source is one. The power of the remnant lies not in their sameness, but in their unity under heaven's banner. Do not be surprised if old associations fade as new ones form. Some people were part of your preparation, not your partnership. When God brings divine alliances, they will not drain you, they will strengthen you. You will feel peace instead of pressure, flow instead of force. These are signs that heaven's connections have been made. And yet, this gathering does not exist for comfort. It is a call to action, to intercede, to restore, to speak light into places of compromise. The remnant is rising to remind the world that purity still has a voice, that truth still stands even when it shakes alone. You, chosen one, are part of that voice. Your obedience echoes across unseen corridors, linking with others in harmony. The gathering is not coming, it is happening. Every time you pray, another light is kindled somewhere. Every time you stand firm in faith, another believer finds courage. The remnant grows through example, not through advertisement. And soon, the world will see what heaven has been preparing in secret. The scattered ones are becoming a collective flame. The forgotten ones are becoming forerunners. The hidden ones are stepping into their place as builders of a new dawn. This is the gathering of the remnant, not an organization, but an organism. A living, breathing body of believers bound by spirit and purpose. The sound of their unity will shake the earth and remind the heavens that light still reigns. You are part of that sound, part of that symphony. So stand firm, recognize your tribe, and when you meet them, let your spirit smile in silent recognition. The gathering has begun, and heaven watches with joy as the flames unite. You can almost feel the fire rising again, the warmth of calling, the holy urgency of destiny awakening. The journey through hiddenness and testing has brought you here, chosen one, to this moment of release. Heaven is not just speaking to you now, it is speaking through you. The mantle has descended and the commissioning fire burns upon your spirit. This is the moment when divine purpose shifts from theory to action. You have spent seasons learning how to carry the flame. Now you must learn how to use it. The fire within you is not a decoration, it is a weapon, a healer, a guide. It was never meant to stay contained inside your chest. You were not set ablaze to warm yourself, you were lit to illuminate nations. As the prophet Jeremiah recorded in the sacred scrolls, chapter 20, verse 9, "If I say, I won't mention him, his word burns in my heart like a fire I cannot hold." That verse is the song of your soul. The message within you refuses to be silenced. The same spirit that once whispered now roars. The words you carry are not just sentences, they are sparks. When released, they ignite courage in others. They breathe life into the weary. They melt the frost around hearts that have forgotten how to feel. The commissioning fire does not come to destroy, it comes to transform. You have seen what this fire can do in your own life. It burned away fear. It consumed old identities. It purified motives. Now it will burn through you, spreading wherever your obedience leads. You are becoming what you once sought: an answer to someone's prayer, a voice for someone's silence, a light for someone's night. This fire has weight, it demands stewardship. It asks you to walk carefully, to speak with intention, to love fiercely. It will draw people who are cold and repel those who prefer darkness. That is the nature of flame, it both comforts and confronts. But you were built to hold it. Every hardship you endured was strengthening your spirit to bear divine heat without burning out. Chosen one, this is not the time to hide your light behind hesitation. The world is darker than it has ever been, and you have been chosen to be its living torch. Your compassion is fuel, your faith the wick, your obedience the oxygen that keeps the flame alive. You have been anointed not only to receive messages, but to release them. Every word of hope you speak is a spark flung into the shadows. Every act of kindness is a match struck against despair. And when others see your glow, they will be reminded that fire still falls from heaven, that God still moves through human vessels. Yet even the brightest flame can be extinguished if neglected. Every light must be fed, every fire tended. That is why this work, this message, this movement needs your hands as much as your heart. When you like this message, it's more than a click, it's a breath of oxygen to keep the flame visible. When you share it, you become a carrier of fire, spreading warmth into places your voice cannot reach. When you subscribe, you step into a circle of light bearers, a growing family of souls walking in revelation together. And when you donate, you are not giving away something, you are investing in continued illumination. Think of it as placing oil in the lamp that keeps this fire burning across digital horizons. Your support keeps the flame alive for those who still wander in the cold. Every gesture, whether prayer, generosity, or engagement, is like another log placed upon the altar. Together, we build a continual fire that will never go out. Consider what fire does: it spreads by touch. When one flame meets another, the light multiplies without losing its own brilliance. That is the beauty of shared purpose. Your engagement doesn't just sustain, it multiplies. The warmth you send outward will one day return to you in unexpected blessings. Because giving and glowing are made of the same energy. Chosen one. This commissioning fire is not just resting on you, it is waiting to move through you. Heaven has trusted you with this spark because it knows your heart burns for truth. Carry it gently but boldly. Wherever you go, let love be your flame and service your smoke. Let your very life testify that the fire still falls. And when you comment below, leave behind a trace of that flame, a word, a reflection, a prayer, a testimony. Every comment becomes another spark, another light added to the collective blaze. You never know who might find warmth in what you write. The commissioning fire has come. It glows now within your spirit, a silent inferno of purpose and passion. Feed it, guard it, share it. The world is waiting for your light. The fire still burns, but now it changes shape. It is no longer a raging blaze consuming everything in its path. It has become a steady crown of light resting upon your head. What was once raw power has transformed into refined authority. The season of striving gives way to the season of reigning. This is your coronation. Chosen one, the moment heaven crowns you not with gold, but with glory. You have carried the weight of purpose through wilderness and warfare, through silence and storm. You have been pressed, purified, and proven. And now, heaven declares that you are ready. You are no longer the one searching for validation. You are the one entrusted with influence. The same hands that once trembled in fear are now anointed to heal, to build, to bless. We are reminded through the writings of Peter in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 4. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that never fades away. That crown is not distant, it is already resting upon you. It is invisible to the world, but undeniable to heaven. It carries not the shimmer of metal, but the radiance of divine approval. This crown cannot be tarnished by failure, stolen by envy, or diminished by time. It shines because it is forged in endurance and set with jewels of obedience. Every tear you shed has become part of its brilliance. You may not feel worthy of such a crown, but that is precisely why you were chosen. God does not crown perfection. He crowns perseverance. This moment is not about your flawless performance, it is about your faithful endurance. You remained when others walked away. You believed when everything fell apart. You kept walking even when the road disappeared beneath your feet. That faithfulness has written your name among heaven's beloved. The crown of glory is not given to inflate the ego, but to confirm identity. You are not being exalted above others, you are being entrusted to lift others higher. Authority in heaven's kingdom is not about dominance, it is about servanthood. To wear this crown is to carry the heart of a shepherd, to guide with gentleness, to lead with humility, to love with courage. Every chosen one eventually discovers that true power is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself, it simply exists, radiating peace. The more deeply the crown settles upon your head, the more you realize that greatness was never about being seen, it was about being surrendered. You have traded recognition for revelation, applause for anointing. The world may not understand this kind of glory, but heaven does. Look back for a moment, see the pattern of your story. Each valley you crossed was shaping the weight of your crown. Each battle you fought was strengthening your neck to carry it. The heaviness you once cursed was preparation for the honor you now bear. Every burden became training for glory. And now, with the crown upon your spirit, you begin to see differently. What once looked like loss now looks like legacy. What once felt like delay now feels like design. You can finally see that none of it was wasted, the pain, the waiting, the silence, all of it was crafting the person you were always meant to become. Chosen one, your countenance carries light now. People will not always understand why they feel peace when you enter a room, but it is the reflection of heaven upon your face. You have become what you once prayed for, a living testimony that God restores what the world breaks. The crown of glory does not make you untouchable, it makes you responsible. You are a carrier of heaven's presence. Your words now hold weight, your silence carries wisdom. You are not here to rule from distance, but to serve from compassion. This crown is not a throne, it is a reminder of trust. There will still be challenges ahead, but they will not shake you as before. You have learned the rhythm of grace. You know that storms cannot dethrone what heaven has crowned. You walk now with a steadiness that comes only from divine assurance. The crown upon your head is a covenant. It declares that heaven stands behind every step you take. So walk tall, not in pride, but in peace. The one who crowned you walks beside you. Every breath you take is royal air. Every act of kindness an extension of divine reign. You are not striving to become, you are. And as you move forward, carrying this crown unseen by most but known by all of heaven, remember, crowns are not worn to be admired, they are worn to reflect light wherever you go. May others glimpse that light and find their way home. The fire has become glory. The servant has become sovereign. The chosen has become crowned. And now, everything comes full circle. The journey that began in silence and struggle ends in alignment and glory. You stand beneath the open sky, aware that every breath is both ending and beginning. The road behind you is scattered with tears, prayers, and miracles, each one a marker of divine orchestration. Heaven has finished what it started, and you, chosen one, have become the living fulfillment of its promise. This is eternal alignment, the merging of divine intention and human obedience. The point where heaven's rhythm beats in sync with your heart. You no longer chase destiny. You walk inside it. You no longer strive for revelation. You live as revelation. Every step you take now echoes with purpose. You are not walking toward promise, you are walking as promise. It is written in the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. That verse is the seal upon your life. The work that began in secret has reached its unveiling. The hands that shaped you in obscurity now release you in authority. Heaven does not start what it will not finish. And you are proof of that truth. What once looked fragmented now forms a perfect mosaic of meaning. In this moment, there is peace, a deep, steady peace that no noise can disturb. You no longer need to ask, why did it happen this way? Because now you see the design. The pain had purpose, the waiting had weight, and the silence had instruction. Every detour led exactly where it was meant to. The threads that once felt random now weave a pattern too perfect to be coincidence. Eternal alignment is not about perfection, it is about harmony. It is the place where your desires no longer compete with heaven's will, where your prayers and God's plans say the same thing. You no longer beg for doors to open, you simply walk through the ones that were designed for your feet. There is no striving left, only flow, no resistance, only rhythm. You can feel it in your body, the stillness of balance. The tension that once lived in your spirit has eased, replaced by a quiet strength. You have become fluent in divine timing, learning when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to listen. Heaven's voice has become so familiar that even silence sounds like language. The world around you still moves in chaos, but within you, there is clarity. You have discovered that peace is not the absence of storms, but the mastery of trust. You no longer fear what the future holds, because you know the one who holds it. The journey has taught you that control is an illusion, and surrender is the highest form of wisdom. Every lesson you've learned now becomes legacy. Your story is not meant to end in solitude, it is meant to echo. The faith you've forged will strengthen others. The wisdom you carry will guide those who wander. The light within you will outlive your own footsteps, stretching beyond time into eternity. Chosen one. This alignment is your inheritance. You have entered the rhythm of eternity, where everything moves with divine coordination. Your heart has become a sanctuary, heaven's address written upon flesh. The angels who once guarded you now walk beside you, not as protectors only, but as partners in purpose. There is a quiet knowing now, a realization that the destination was never a place but a posture. Alignment is not reached by climbing, it is found by surrendering. You did not arrive here by effort alone, but by grace guiding each step. The same light that once called you out of darkness now surrounds you completely. It does not blind, it beautifies. It rests upon you gently, like dawn upon the horizon, announcing not the end, but the eternal morning. You have become both vessel and vision, reflection and revelation. And in this stillness, heaven speaks one final word to your heart. Rest. Not the rest of exhaustion, but the rest of fulfillment, the kind of peace that says, "It is finished." You are no longer searching for where you belong, you are standing in it. You are no longer chasing the will of God, you are embodying it. The earth will continue to turn, storms will still come and fade, but nothing can undo what has been aligned. The covenant stands unbroken. You and heaven are in harmony now, purpose sealed in eternity's rhythm. Chosen one, look ahead without fear. The horizon before you is endless, but your steps are guided. You have become a living note in heaven's eternal song. Every heartbeat echoes the melody of completion. Every breath declares all things work together. This is where your story no longer ends, it continues into eternity. You have crossed from striving into stillness, from calling into communion, from promise into fulfillment. Heaven has finished its work in you, and now you live as the evidence that destiny is real. The time has come, and you have become one with the time. This is eternal alignment. And so, beloved chosen one, the journey closes not with an ending, but with a continuation. For though this message may fall silent, the echo of its truth remains within you. You have walked through awakening, endurance, testing, and fire. You have carried loneliness, fought unseen battles, and risen crowned in glory. Every moment has led here to stillness, to peace, to eternal alignment, but the story of the chosen never truly ends. You will continue to live chapters heaven has yet to write. Each sunrise will whisper new instructions. Each encounter will carry divine design. You will walk through the world as a living flame, touching lives without striving, healing hearts without even realizing it. That is what happens when purpose and presence become one. Let this truth root deeply in your spirit. You were never random. Every hardship was a chapter, every silence a sentence, every miracle a punctuation of grace. You were chosen not just to survive, but to signify. Your life is evidence that heaven still intervenes, that light still triumphs, that faith still transforms. As you step forward, may your days move with grace, your nights rest in peace, and your heart remain tuned to the melody of eternity. You are not at the end. You are at the beginning of forever. Carry the fire gently, love fiercely, and remember you are the chosen one, and heaven delights in you always.